There is nowhere else to start but, of course, the title race. Manchester City have won their 5th Premier League title in 6 years. Arsenal pushed them all the way, but they just couldn't quite get there. Joining me on the sofa now to talk through all of it is Johnny and Stephen. Stephen, we'll start with you. Congratulations. I hope you're happy.
Yeah, it's not quite all the way, I'll be honest. You know, most of the way. I've been watching City for an awful long time, and it feels so sweet watching this Manchester City side. I do not take it for granted, I guarantee you, because it could end at any moment. But I think we deserved it because we were the better team over the course of the season, and it's down to Pep. He's a genius.
Johnny, how are you feeling, firstly? Look, we're on sofas. This is a safe space,
yeah,
right?
Safe space.
Arsenal fan to Arsenal fan. Are you okay?
Yeah, safe space. I'm feeling that vibe. You know, he's had a dig at me straight away, so... No, look, it is what it is. We didn't expect to necessarily be here at this juncture, and I think that there is a gap, clearly, but we can close that gap with shrewd acquisitions in the summer. It's been a great season for Arsenal. We are, absolutely moving forward in the right direction, and I think if we make the right kind of changes, we will absolutely be, being able to push them really all the way this time.
Johnny, what do you think went wrong then for Arsenal in the end? Because, I mean, they were sat at the top of the Premier League for pretty much the whole season, right up until this latter part. What happened?
Well, when you actually look at the way that we're kind of constructed, we have a very, very strong starting lineup. But once you start, scratching below the surface, we just don't have the same, depth that City do. And it's taken years for them to get that way. And I think that one of the things that we've proven this year is that some of those clubs that just had their way with us year in, year out, we've taken them to the cleaners, everyone apart from City this year. So we have made those strides forward. But once you start getting an injury or two, you start to realise that we're just not built for the long haul at the moment. And when Rob Holding's coming in and giving you 5-6 games in crunch games, he's not at the required level. Maybe one game, maybe we're playing Bournemouth, he can fit in there. No, you can't be going to Etihad, I'm sorry, mate, but I've drawn you into it now.
I do think you talk about, squad depth and so on. I honestly believe it's just more just an experience thing and a mentality thing. And I know you probably don't want to hear that as Arsenal fans, but it just does take time to learn. And I think you've had an incredible season, and that, I'm not trying to patronise. I just genuinely think it's true.
That does feel like a lyrical ruffle of my hair right now, maybe a little bop on the nose as well. But the thing is, some of what you're saying I don't agree with. Saliba was a massive, massive player for us. I think he's the best defender in the league personally, and I think that we wouldn't have lost a lot of those games. Unlike City, where they can bring in people like Akanji, Laporte, who are starting centre halves.
£11 million. So the point is, you're right about quality of players. But ultimately, if you think your season's going to be defined in one player, you have to adapt to that. You're not always going to have your key players in your team.
This is what the difference is you've had years to build out your squad. We haven't had those years to build out a squad.
We had Fabian Delph at left-back for Zinchenko, a £1 million signing at one point because we lost players.
Yeah, Exactly. What are you saying about Zinny?
But the point is, you have to adapt sometimes to what you've got. This idea that you're not always going to have all your key players available. And ultimately, I do think it comes down once again to experience.
What do you guys think if Pep and Arteta switched places? Would Pep have got Arsenal to the title?
It's a good
question.
No.
Take my seat.
No, I don't think he would have. I think it's down once again to not having the likes of Gundogan who've been there and done it before, and De Bruyne. They aren't scared of a title race. Arsenal were scared of a title race.
Yeah, but Pep would have installed that into the Arsenal players.
Eventually, yeah, maybe.
It takes time.
He's a better manager than Arteta,
Yeah, but Arteta knows what Pep's got to offer. He's obviously been there, and Pep said himself that he feels like he learned things from Arteta. Arteta's not just some joke dude. No, he's proved that this season. He's shown he's got the talent. He's shown he's got the kind of nous for managing at elite level. But in certain key moments, he made mistakes and he made poor decisions that Pep knows not to make, and that's something that he'll learn from, and we'll be back.
Quick question though, is this the Manchester City team that have just won the title again? Yay! Is this the greatest Premier League side ever?
Maybe more pragmatic than the Sane Sterling kind of era. It's like, I think it's more a team. It's been built. Pep's just evolved the system where he's got loads of centre backs playing, but it's just really stoic, and there's basically captains all over the team. And I think that's probably why we're actually, fingers crossed as a City fan, that if we win the Champions League, it's probably because we've learned how to be a little bit more, pragmatic, rely on the brilliance of De Bruyne and obviously Haaland.
I mean, speaking of Haaland, is he going to become the best? I've not even said the question, and they're like, yeah, we know what you're going to say. The best striker the Premier League has ever seen.
Yes,
by a country. Probably going to be the best natural number 9 the game's ever seen by the end of his career, because he's just born to score goals. He's ridiculous.
He's a freak. He's a freak.
Genuinely...
He's demoralising. When you're going up against like this team, and you're like, well, we need them to drop points, and it's like Haaland's there, and we've never seen a striker in this league be able to score more than a goal a game at that kind of clip. It's scary. It's as simple as that. You have to look at it when you look at someone like, if you look at Alan Shearer, right, who is still obviously the record goal scorer. He is someone who doesn't really get credit for his all-round play, for how he used to affect the game. It was his currency, his goals. Kane will break it. But Haaland, if he stays, will obviously break even that, because he's just... we've never seen this goal-scoring rate before. And the currency to win games is goals. And if you can score at this rate, you are going to be, the greatest striker.
Haaland I just want to score goals. And it's so weird...
You take the penalty.
Yeah, it's so weird to have a guy who is genuinely a one-off. And he really is just like he's been built in a lab.
Ultimately, we've not really seen a striker like this in terms of this archetype, because we're used to... Look, I mean, an Arsenal fan, I'm unapologetically going to say I believe at this stage Thierry Henry is the greatest player we've seen in the Premier League, because of what he offered holistically, not just his goal scoring, but, he's the only guy who's been dishing out 20 assists, 20 goals plus in 1 year. We haven't seen that. Haaland hasn't done that. But when you get to the stage that it's just... What you're talking about with Haaland is a guy who doesn't really tend to do much, doesn't get much touches in the game, but can bang hat-tricks against top teams. And ultimately, that's all you need from your striker. And Ronaldo is kind of the biggest comp, I think, to Haaland, because it's someone who is physically a different kind of specimen, and if you put him up against someone, he's going to just beast them, and that's what he does. And it's very hard. Most people go, oh yeah, the more experience you get against him, you'll learn. You can't learn to run faster than him. You can't learn to, bench as much as him. He's a freak, and he'll continue to bully the league.
So I guess the big question is, can anyone stop Manchester City next season? And if so, who do we think it would be?
Well, it has to be us, as far as I'm concerned. Listen.
I'm laughing in the background, sorry.
Look, the way the league's set up this year, everyone can have a little laugh at Arsenal because of the way the last couple of games have gone, but if you look at it, we're the best place to do it, and that is because all of our castles are built on good foundations. We have young players throughout our squad who are already scary, but they're only going to get scarier. You're talking about Martin Ødegaard. Listen, Haaland's not the only Norwegian who's an absolute nutter in this league, okay? Ødegaard's had an outrageous season, and I've been on record already. I think Saliba's the best defender in the league. So you're talking about... As long as we can supplement this squad with, sound investment, quality support, we will run them close next year with a manager who knows how Guardiola works. I think we are going to absolutely be able to start closing that gap. Maybe just get a little bit closer to him on it. But I think we're going to be well placed. I think we're the new Liverpool.
You're getting close with the Liverpool fans right here, in my opinion. I think Liverpool will be back next season. I just think they will do. I think a weird season, but. I don't know. I just think, once again, we talk about experience, Liverpool just know how to do it, and I reckon they'll be there. I think the second half of the season, Liverpool is the real Liverpool, and I think Arsenal, to be honest, you had one game a week for the past few months, and to me, if you weren't handling that particularly well, if you're in the Champions League, it's going to be difficult, and you will be there or thereabouts. But I personally think it'll be Liverpool challenging. Who knows? Chelsea could get a competent manager. They could. They have got one, but coming in with Pochettino, United could go on a step ahead. Newcastle could make some good signings in the summer.
So the Champions League element is a good point, Johnny, because
it's
how
hard,
do you
isn't
think Arsenal might cope with that next season?
That's the biggest kind of, knock on us, because we've not necessarily... even when we had Europa League games. But the problem is I think that one of the things, and United have had to see this as well, to try and get yourself back to the top, you can't just bring in these mercenary types who've kind of been there before, and they, like we had the likes of Aubameyang before and Ozil, and after a while, you lose your culture and your identity at the club, and it starts becoming a bit wish-washy. We now have built around a core, and these guys are only going to get better. And this is why you build in a young squad with a new identity. Everyone knows what it's about. Suddenly, the Emirates is absolutely rocking. I think we're going to be scary.
Like, as a Spurs fan, hang on. As a Spurs fan,
How are you feeling?
I'm prepared to say Arsenal have done what everyone thought Spurs were going to do this year. Right? So fair play to them.
Spurs are going to do that.
Hang on. I'm trying to be level-headed here towards Arsenal, right? So Spurs got Champions League last year, Arsenal didn't. We had Conte, they had the novice in Arteta, and everyone was going, we've had a great transfer and we're going to go that way. Arsenal didn't, fair play to them. I think what is being lost here, and I think what I'm seeing a lot on social media, etc., is the Arsenal fans have got so arrogant so quickly after a good year. They've had a very good year, but I think if Arsenal fans came out and said, you know what, it's been a good year, we need to kick on. But when we've got fans coming out going, we'll be battering everyone again next year, we're quality, we're the only ones that can rival Man City, that's when I think the whole panel collectively went, oh, shut up. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's very reactionary.
Lost the terrace. I love it. Everyone hates us, and we're honestly.
Okay, I think that is a perfect point to wrap up this segment. Guys, thank you so much. You've been brilliant. Outside of the top two, the race for the top four has been no less interesting. We've seen Newcastle cement their place in the Champions League next season. Manchester United have looked a different beast under Erik Ten Haag. Meanwhile, Liverpool and Chelsea have had a significant fall from grace. And Spurs, who were early season contenders, are on the outside looking in. Joining me on the sofa to discuss it all are Alex, Dominic, Richard and David. You look like a boy band. I feel like that has to be addressed straight away. We're going to start with Newcastle. Congratulations. I mean, you must be thrilled with how the season's gone, right?
Yeah, what a season. Hardly anyone saw it coming. Eddie Howe came in, saved us from relegation in a way that had never been done before, not winning any of the first 15 games. And he's just continued this unbelievable form. We've lost less games than Arsenal. We're not actually a million miles away from the top two.
Why did you do that to me? I was enjoying this until you said that.
Yeah, it's just been a great season, yeah.
So, Alex, what are your expectations then for next season? Or what's the minimum expectation for Newcastle?
I think next season we've got to cement our place in this top four. There are lots of other clubs who've had dire seasons really by their very high standards, and they'll come back really strong. Being in the Champions League, I think we'll just be happy to be there, but can you get out the group stage? And I think really, if I'm going to be greedy, can we get closer to the top two? Can we get closer to Manchester City? That's, I think, the ambition that the club have at the minute is to do that.
Do we think that that's kind of likely to happen, guys?
Yeah, I think they can definitely catch Arsenal. I don't think they're a million miles away from what Arsenal are. Catching Man City, I think, is going to be, Man City didn't wake up one day and were this good, so I don't think any other club can do that. As Arsenal have shown this year, you can get so far, but to match Man City, it's going to take a lot.
What is the key to Newcastle's success and Eddie Howe's success this season? Because, like you guys have said, he has done a magnificent job.
I think recruitment's been out of this world. Not only have they bought really well, all of the players who've come in have hit the ground running in the Premier League. If you think about Alex Isak and Sven Botman, both under 23, we thought there'd be a little bit of bedding in time. Can they play physically at this level? And they've both blown everyone away. And then I think Eddie Howe, he's a real coach. He wants to make footballers better. So you look across our side, it's not all big money signings. Like Fabian Schär cost £3 million 6 years ago. Eddie Howe's turned him into like a £30 million centre-back. So I think this improvement dynamic that they've got going on of bringing in really good footballers, which bring up the level of everyone who's already there, it's been a perfect combination. How
does it feel for Newcastle to be back in the Champions League? What has it been, 20 years?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I'm not trying to rub it in.
No, it feels ridiculous. It feels not real because it's not just been out the Champions League, it's been terrible. Newcastle were terrible for so long. 17th was viewed as success, staying in the league. 20,000 fans left the club. They were giving out season tickets for free. That's just not Newcastle United. So to have it back and be, beating teams that we've beaten this season to Champions League, it's almost a dream come true. It's incredible.
Do you guys kind of look at Newcastle and think I'm kind of looking at Spurs here and think that's what we would love to be doing next season?
I mean, Eddie Howe started at the same time as Conte started at Tottenham. I think there was a couple of weeks difference. And when you look at the difference in what both clubs have achieved, what both clubs have done in terms of Newcastle implemented a philosophy, a plan, a transfer strategy, spent less money than us. And then you look at what Spurs have done, it's been nothing short of shambolic. We've got the worst owners in the league, Levy out, and yeah, look, I'm jealous.
Where did it all go wrong, do you think, for Spurs this season?
Look, this season, I think, look, the difficulty was Spurs did what Spurs do. We got Champions League football, and most clubs use it as a platform. The same way Newcastle will use it as a platform now to go and buy better players, to push on and not challenge immediately, but better themselves. Spurs got it, and we did what we always do. It's that kind of entitlement of, well, we've got top four, that's a trophy. And we brought in poor players. There was no strategy, there's no recruitment plan, a very negative manager, whatever you want to say about Conte, it's not what the Spurs fans want to watch. And I think everyone got a little bit carried away.
In general, last year, let's remember how the season ended, and obviously you nipped into Champions League above us. Yeah. And the way that you guys signed players and the manager that you had, all we ever heard from Spurs fans was, we got the best manager, we signed Romero, you guys got Ben White, we're going to be here. I mean, it's like, you know, it's cloud cuckoo land, really. Look at the way it's gone down, and obviously now it is a ball of flames on the floor. I personally love it. You seem more, you know, you seem like a balanced Spurs fan. There ain't many of them.
I feel like we're the most divided fan base in the world. You've got some fans that are like, look what the owners have done. We've got the best stadium, we've got the best training ground in the world, concerts, this, that, the other, and we're financially very well off. I didn't grow up supporting a stadium. I watch football. And the one thing the owners have forgot to do is make us a good football team.
Are Spurs kind of no longer one of the big six clubs?
We're big six in terms of revenue. We're big six in terms of stadium. We are about to go through some years of pain and building, and take Harry Kane out this team. And I'm not sitting on this couch talking to these guys about the race for Europe. Yeah. Take Kane out this team, and I'm going to be on the sofa with the guys later talking about a relegation battle. And Spurs fans need to get off their high horse and stop talking about Champions League and pretending we're a big club.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I think everyone's like, fair play. We need to talk about Brighton. David, you're a bit happier right now.
No, it's been a
you must
season.
be so happy to see Brighton in Europe as well. An incredible achievement. And what a team, by the way, right, this season.
Yeah. It's been the craziest season because we started off brilliantly with fourth. Then Potter goes, and we're thinking, everyone was just, my world had fallen in. Everyone's going around saying, we had the chance, we saw the chance of Europe and it's gone. And then De Zerbi comes in and he's transformed the team again, taken us up a notch. And the football we play, like anyone would want to watch.
So when Potter first left, how did you feel as a Brighton fan? Did you feel like that was it for your season?
We really did.
Yeah.
We thought, at first we'd just completely gutted, but it wasn't just that he went and took his team. He took Bruno, he took the soul of the club. It's like stayed away from relegation. That would have been a good season. But then it's just got better and better.
How do you see yourselves getting on in Europe, though, next? Because it's one thing getting there, right? Amazing, incredible achievement. You guys have deserved it, I think, this season. But how do you think you'll actually do with it next season?
I think we're going to do all right because the recruitment's been good. But I think they've got a plan in place and we'd be all right. But it will be a stretch. If our ambition, if we could stay 6th, 7th next year, have a run in Europa League, that'd be brilliant.
Dominic, you are, of course, our Liverpool fan. How are you feeling? Because it's been quite up and down. I mean, you must be kind of happy with the sort of latter part of the season, but what were you expecting from this season?
I don't really know because it took us a while to get over the last season, to be honest. 2 cups, a cup final and running City to the last game of the season isn't no embarrassment by any means, but I thought we sort of seen an emotional hangover for quite some time. From the start, the fitness didn't look like to be there, the mentality wasn't there. It was difficult to watch. But if anyone can put a run of games together, like Man City, it's Liverpool. So it was always there. It was just a matter of when it happened. There's optimism for next season, and I think that's the main thing. If the season was bad as a whole, we'd be worried. But I think the running we've had, it gives us optimism for the summer, a few more recruits, and, you know, we're back up there next season.
No Champions League for you next season. How does that feel?
It's painful. It's painful.
You got used to it.
It's a tradition at Liverpool. It's European nights. They don't go amiss. And
well, you'll have European nights.
The thing is, we had them in the Europa League when we beat United, and that was a massive night. It's not the end of the world. 1 year off in at probably 5 or 6, you know, I can handle that, definitely. If there's one man to take us back up there, it's Klopp.
Okay, well, I was going to say to you, how do you feel towards Jurgen Klopp? I suppose if the results hadn't kind of turned around, how... No.
He's never going.
Okay, right.
No.
So even if you had carried on, how it was looking like it was at kind of the middle part of the season when things really weren't going so well for you guys, if it had, I mean, where would you, if you were in Chelsea's position, and we'll come to our Chelsea fan in a bit, who I think is buzzing about that, would that have been, you still would have said Klopp?
Give him the summer.
Right.
See what he does. If he gets the right investment, he's got every chance in the world to get us back up there. If he never got the right investment, then we've got to look at the ownership as well as the management. Because you can't look at him and say, you've had one bad season, get out the club.
Yeah,
he's got enough credit in the bank to say, you know what, give him a year. Let's see how he does. Let's see what we can do from this. And he'll be back up there. And if there's any man, like I said, that can get us back up there, it's him. And who else is out there that we could get? Because there isn't.
What do you think Liverpool need to do then in the summer to make themselves better for next season?
Invest.
What
massively in the midfield.
Where?
Midfield has been an ongoing process for 2 to 3 windows where we just haven't bought anyone. Everything on Jude Bellingham, which is now looking like a complete embarrassment for the club. What a player, but he looks like he's going to Madrid. And so 2 top-class midfielders, potentially another centre-half, and I think that's a really good window for Liverpool.
Where's our Chelsea fan? How are you feeling? I mean, what went wrong? What's happened to you guys this season? Talk to us.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. Nothing's gone right, really. I think you can go back right to the start of the season. Obviously, the takeover, the sanctions, we obviously couldn't do anything about that. But takeovers take time. Look how long the Newcastle one took, 10 months. United's ongoing as well, months. This had to be rushed through, and that set us on the back foot. You know, planning for the transfer window in the summer. No sort of football department in place. Bowley's come in, a bit of a wrecking ball, wants to do everything. Their intentions are there, but he's made mistakes. And the problem I think we've had is that everyone in the key positions at the football club has been learning on the job. You can get away with maybe 1 or 2, but when it's people in those top positions that are doing that, mistakes are going to be made. They're going to try and change too many things too quickly to put their stamp on things. And so there's a lot of things have gone wrong. I guess the only positives are that the season's nearly finished. We've got. To be fair though, the squad we've got, I know we're miles off it and we're mid-table, but there's the basis of some really exciting young players there. And in Pochettino, a manager that's going to be coming in, a great record with working with young players. And yes, it hurts not being on a sofa talking about Europe and all that, but having a season out, it might not be the worst thing in the world.
This has possibly been the most gripping and tense relegation battle we have ever seen. Unfortunately, Southampton have already been relegated, but who will be joining them in the Championship next season? Mike, Kate, Luke and Sam, come join me on the sofa. Oh, guys, I feel like, I know, the mood's really changed, obviously. Anyone feeling slightly hopeful, apart from the Southampton fan?
I probably feel less hopeful, I think. Yeah. No, there's not much hope left.
OK, but I mean, someone's team is still going to be in the Premier League next season.
Yeah, we seem to be the ones who look like we're the most likely to stay up. The only problem is, though, Everton have got a terrible history of falling at the last hurdle. It's worrisome to think that last game is going to be the one that decides it. I mean, we should not be in this situation. We can't go down and go into that new stadium because it would just be a financial ruin.
Where do you think it all went wrong for Everton then?
It's frustrating to see, really, as an Evertonian, because you watch the team and they do play well. If we would have had a decent striker this season, one, let's say, a 20-goal season striker, I don't think we'd be in the situation we'd be in right now.
Kate, as the Leeds fan on the sofa,
Yeah.
how are you feeling? Your hand's already on your head. How are you feeling?
I feel sort of, I'm devastated, really. It's such a waste when you look at what we achieved under Bielsa. But, I mean, obviously, we've had had 4 managers this season. But, you know, the hierarchy from the top down, they've just sort of run the club into the ground.
Do you think that maybe Big Sam should have been appointed earlier on in the season?
Oh, without doubt. And I think he has steadied the ship. I mean, you know, we only kind of conceded 2 goals to City, which is one of our greatest achievements. But again, it's the way the season's gone. It's just been like bad decision after bad decision.
Sam, talk to me. Leicester fan. Where are you at? How are you feeling? Do you have any hope?
Yeah, I think, acceptance is at the final stage of grief, I think. I would say I'm probably there, which is obviously sad, and the fall from grace has been spectacular. You know, we were in a European semi-final last year, and now we look like we're going to go down. We've only got ourselves to blame.
On the outside looking in, like, out of all of those teams on the sofa, like, Leicester are the ones that will get asset stripped. But once they go, is there really the quality after that?
Yeah.
And then it would be hard to get out.
And I think that's why it would be important that we pick the right manager and just try and see where you can get a proper rebuild. And, you know, if someone like a Michael Carrick or someone along those lines, but it does give us a chance to reset a little bit.
OK, so what happened then? What do you think's gone wrong?
I think it's a amalgamation of a lot of things that have gone wrong. You know, poor recruitment. We lost key players and didn't replace them. I think sort of Southampton are similar, and maybe a lesson of warning to a side like Brighton, you know, who are doing sort of splendid at the moment. When you have that model where you buy players, they do well, you sell them on, you know, and you reinvest, you're only a couple of bad acquisitions away from it starting to crumble down. And I think there's definitely a complacency. Probably thought we were too good to go down. The fans, the players, the management, you know, and kind of sat there, and there's guys that are not sat on this sofa and that are sat up there, you know, and we thought, oh, we'll be all right because we're better than a Bournemouth or a Forest, and that's no...
Everyone's using Bournemouth as a reference.
But you know what I mean, that's no, exactly, and like, what can I say, because I'm sat down here and they're sat up there.
Mike, Southampton, as we said earlier, have been relegated.
It doesn't get any easier when you say it out loud, you know.
How are you feeling? What's happened? What went wrong? Has it been a long time coming? There are so many questions. Talk to us.
There's a lot to go through. I mean, I think in terms of, like, been in the Premier League for 11 years. It's a long time. We had, you know, we're approaching Europe in terms of, and then we got picked apart by some bigger clubs in terms of taking our best players. But it's all about what we then do with that money, because a club like Southampton, and with respect to a club like Brighton as well, are always going to be in a position where they're going to have to release players when they get to a certain level, when they want to go and play Champions League football or whatever. But it's a case of the recruitment that's come in this season has all been very, very young players. You know, we spent 140 million quid in these 2 transfer windows, but it's all been on youth talent and young players. So that core nucleus of our squad just hasn't been there at all. So in terms of how it looks for Southampton going forward, it's not overly bleak, because a lot of our squad is very, very young.
That's all we have time for. Good luck to those playing in the Cup finals. Be sure to keep following William Hill for all the football stories of the summer. And remember to like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.